Half-Life 2 is a somewhat well-known glitch where you're able to duplicate Bonnie over and over again. Once you've said hi to Bonnie, if you prop up this wall and jump down to the previous map, and then re-enter the map you were just on, he appears again. He pops out of his little door. And you can repeat this as many times as you want for infinite Bonnies. It resets the entire map besides some props and NPCs that fall in between the level transition. Most level transitions don't work like this. It doesn't reset the entire map like this, but from what I can tell, stuff like this only happens on chapter transitions. Normally this isn't an issue for chapter transitions, as chapter transitions usually block off the map before. In this case, it's a locked door, but to name some others, in Nova Prospect's transition, it has rocks crumble behind you, and in Black Mesa East transition, there's a massive dam so you can't get back up. I really liked this phenomenon, so I went looking around, and I stumbled upon a gold mine in Half-Life 2 Episode 2. After a long fight, and after Alyx is recovered, you break some boards and travel down and out to Chapter 3. You start watching the cutscene, and you remembered you were one off that grub crushing achievement. And the last one you just passed on the last map. This chapter transition is only a little fall, and it's not blocked off even by an invisible wall. There are a bunch of props outside, and by using those, you can make a little staircase up, or prop up if you're cool. Once you jump over, the next level loads and the boards are back. Besides the boards, it's also the entire map has reset. Nice. Once you've got your grub, you can move on to the cooler section of this. This is how I pushed this sequence brick to its limits. Just before this video begins, though it's presented in a tutorialized form where I show you step by step what to do, after about 5 to 10 hours of just doing this trick alone, it changes every single time. Despite my best efforts to turn them into specific routes, even if you do it correctly, it might just not work. So instead of commenting if something doesn't work, just try the route again. First, I dropped down the elevator that you ride up earlier. If you want to follow this along yourself, fall damage doesn't really matter as long as you survive, but what does matter is avoiding this big trigger right in the middle of the map. If you touch this and start the cutscene too early, you softlock yourself out of the good part of this backtrack. To get down without taking any fall damage, you can follow me this way down. If you did take any fall damage, heal up with the crates scattered around, but specifically leave at least 2 or 3 of them. If you need to grab these crates in the middle, use your gravity gun. Walking this way, we can get to the tunnel that you first emerge from in Chapter 2. If you bring along the barrel and the crates I told you to get, you're able to stack them on top of each other, specifically with the barrel on top, and propel yourself upwards using the gravity gun. A little bit of an easier way to do this, if you have the health and the ammo, is to use an SMG grenade boost. Once you get up, you can follow through the tunnel, and then you walk right back. If an alarm starts playing, you've done it right. This reactivates the entire cutscene with Sheckley and Griggs. And then our Alyx and the Vortigaunt from earlier are also here, just walking about. If we walk over to the table, that's another Alyx and another Vortigaunt. If the Vort won't speak to you, if the Vortigaunt won't speak to you, you'll have to try again from the beginning of Chapter 3. This only happens if you specifically fall inside of the trigger which I told you not to. It starts the cutscene too early, so the cutscene can't play now. Whilst the cutscene is playing, you may notice some weird things already. Sometimes the Alyxes may have swapped facial animations, which is kind of creepy to see Alyx just walking around with her eyes closed. And sometimes the wrong Vortigaunt might speak the cutscene lines. This is fine and normal since there are 2 of the same entity with the same name, and the game kind of just assigns whichever one's closer, whichever one loaded in faster. The fight doesn't really matter. If you set the turrets up and just stand still, your Vortigaunt will do all the work for you. After the fight, we get sent on a fetch quest by the group of Vortigaunts. We have to go fetch the larval extract. We normally get accompanied by one of the Vortigaunts, but we have two Vortigaunts. At this time, one of them kind of loses its AI and its pathing, but if we push it, we can get it to where we want. Once we push it onto the next map's level transition, we get two Vortigaunts in the section you normally only have one. It's kind of cool to have double firepower and to just sit back and let them tear through them. Sometimes they seem unable to follow you, but by the next checkpoint, they'll teleport towards you. After a little while, you fall into a minecart, and this is the last we see of the second Vortigaunt. For now. If we go back up the ladders, we can see one of them just sadly waiting through the gate. After reluctantly leaving them, getting up the elevator and then traveling a little more, we come to this load point. At first everything seems okay, but if we travel back, there's Alyx and the Vortigaunt, and they're fighting each other. I'm not really sure why this happens, but they seem to be on different teams, but also still allied to Gordon as they never shoot you. It's a bit of a weird and unique circumstance as it sets us up for a hardlock. If one of the Vortigaunts dies, the game sets you back to a save beforehand. If Alyx dies, it sets you back to a save beforehand. Even if you teleport one of the Vortigaunts over using a cutscene, the other Vortigaunt is still fighting Alyx. And if you think you can escape this hardlock by just going to the next map and unloading this one, this is one of the biggest maps in the entire game. The maps in Episode 2 are a lot larger than the maps in Episode 1 or the base game, so if you want to escape, you'll have to be a really good speedrunner. I personally tried and I couldn't make it, but I wouldn't truly call this a hardlock because I really can imagine that there's something that I don't know about that speedrunners do that would allow them to get to the next map so much quicker. Hi, Lily from the future here. It's actually quite easy to escape this softlock. If you use the conveniently placed minecarts that are right next to that and push them along quick enough, you can make it so that the Vortigaunts can't attack her and she can't attack the Vortigaunts. This sets us up just fine into the second glitch, so continue the game, until we get to the part where we collect the larval extract with the Vortigaunt. As you head up through the elevator, you're able to see a single frame of a ghostly Alyx appearing inside the elevator with you. When the load's done, she disappears, so it doesn't really mean anything. Continue through to the cutscene and re-enter the elevator. At the top of the elevator, as Alyx is having a little moment recovering, if you sprint to the beginning of the next chapter and load the map before she's done with her cutscene, she just won't be there in the next chapter. I've checked this with a few regular playthroughs and this never happens. If we try and progress without her, we can kill all the outlying guards, but when we get to the section with the lift, we're unable to progress because Alyx needs to stand in there for it to go. Have we lost? Are we softlocked again? Well, my original plan was, if you just go back through and reset the map again, and follow the entire thing through again, surely we'd be able to get another Alyx back, right? We're just following it through normal. No. I played through the entirety of the chapter again. When I was going up in the elevator after collecting the larval extract, the other Vortigaunt spawned inside of the lift. That doesn't sound that bad, but in the next area, when we need to go up in the lift with Alyx, my original plan was to just go up, but since one of the Vortigaunt's already inside of there, an invisible wall is placed in there. The invisible wall is placed there so that we don't get inside of the elevator before the Vortigaunt, so it waits for the Vortigaunt to finish its animation and get to the point. But that Vortigaunt can't move because it's already inside of the elevator, but it's not, so the invisible wall just never goes. We somehow left Alyx in a doomed timeline that doesn't exist anymore. This is Lily from the future again. I wanted to explore this doomed timeline, and so by using some speedrun tricks to skip the elevator, which took a lot of time, I got through to the next map, and Alyx still doesn't spawn in. She has a few moments where she'll say some voice lines, but the cutscenes are always looking for her, so there is no Alyx entity spawned on the map. Even if you manage to get through to the next map, again using out-of-bounds glitches, you still can't do it. It is a doomed timeline without Alyx. There may be some point later in the game where they spawn in a fresh Alyx, but as far as I could be bothered to check, there isn't. Now that's the main point of the video, and that's the original route that I discovered. But this glitch has a weird quirk. Every single time, something seems to be a little different, based on really slight things. For example, whilst recording footage for another section of this video, I figured out something else. You know what's cooler than having 2 Vortigaunts? Having as many Vortigaunts as you want. So the general premise of this one starts the same as the last one. You get down the elevator without taking much fall damage. It's a bit more important this time too. You go up into the cave and reactivate the trigger for the cutscene to start. And once you trigger the cutscene, we're able to start this trick. So if you go grab the barrel from earlier, and then you grab this plank that's on the floor, by building a ramp and combining accelerated backhopping with a grenade boost, we're sometimes able to clear this whole area. I'd drop a save before doing it, as it takes quite a large amount of your health. But once you get up here, if you load the next map and then get back up using your staircase or prop hop, you'll have 2 Vortigaunts. That's not that crazy, we've already had 2 Vortigaunts. But if you rinse and repeat over and over again, go down, do the cutscene, jump back up using the ramp, boom, we have 3 Vortigaunts now. Now, same with the Barney trick, you can do this as many times as you want. I capped out at 9 because I got kinda bored of doing the trick over and over again, but what can we do with all these Vortigaunts? If you travel through to the next section, you lose all your Vortigaunts, so don't go through. Instead, complete the fight, and once you get sent off on the fetch quest for the Vortigaunts with one of the Vortigaunts, go through to the cave. Once we hit the load, that's a lot of Vortigaunts. Sometimes that's not even all the Vortigaunts. Sometimes you have to go back to the previous map and then load in again to get all of them. Now what can you do with the power of 9 Vortigaunts? Well, they get stuck very easily, so you have to guide them, but once you get them through, you basically have a full army. This trick has no use, unless you're that bad that you can't get through without 9 bodyguards. But generally this trick doesn't do much, it's just really funny. This was a smaller video than usual, but it's because this trick has so many different ways of doing it, it's hard to document the entire thing. If you get any specific versions of this trick, comment down below, because it's really, really cool to me.